In this macro video, let's spend a few minutes thinking about a concept called gross national income, or GNI. Now, gross national income is an alternative to gross domestic product as a measure of the economic wealth of a country, and it focuses on income instead of output. Well, the figures are broadly similar, but gross national income is GDP plus net primary income plus net secondary income. So primary income, that's inflows and outflows to get the net figure. This includes wages, salaries and other income flows earned by a country's residents working overseas, as well as the income, the earnings, if you like, from the investments that a nation's citizens might have made overseas. So I might have some shares in an overseas company. That company pays dividends. And if those dividends flow back into my country, that adds to the nation's GNI. I might have savings in the bank account of a foreign bank, and the interest on those savings, if they flow back to my country, that adds to a country's GNI. So wages, dividends and interest, net primary income flowing into a country adds to a country's GNI. Of course, it could flow outwards, in which case it would be taking away from GNI. And net secondary income, well, this refers to the transfers of money between countries, such as remittances from foreign workers to their families, just a transfer of money, as well as things like international aid payments coming into a country that would add to GNI. Relatively few countries have a GNI higher than their GDP. Typically, they tend to be small island nations that would have a big, maybe a financial service sector, banking, currency exchange, stock trading, for example. And they may have a GNI higher than GDP because of the large inflow of foreign income earned by selling those financial services, investments and offshore banking. Countries that receive remittances, which we'll talk about in a second, from citizens working overseas, living overseas, can be experience a situation where GNI is greater than GDP. And countries that are heavily dependent for one reason or another on foreign aid might have a GNI exceeding their GDP. A good example recently would be East Timor, suffered extreme poverty and very high aid as a share of their national output. Remittances we mentioned. Now, remittances are becoming hugely important globally. Look at the size here of the value of remittances received in Latin America by country. This is in the millions of US dollars, so over 2 billion into Nicaragua. Huge flows of remittances coming into Mexico. In 2021, in 1 year alone, the number of Mexican migrants in the USA increased by nearly 500,000. And typically they're concentrated in industries such as construction and hospitality and farming. And this is quite an interesting chart. This is the African countries in 2022 with the highest remittances received coming into their country as a share of GDP. Gambia, 28%, South Sudan, 25%. All of these countries had a value of remittances coming in of more than 1/5 of their national output. And those countries, typically, that helps improve their GNI. In terms of GNI per capita, the richest countries in the world, Liechtenstein, Singapore, Qatar, Luxembourg, Ireland, in real terms, measuring GNI per capita. So these are the countries at the other end of the income stream, which are some of the richest advanced nations in the world, as measured by gross national income.